Hello, welcome back to my channel. As promised last video, I'll be doing the how many job applications do I have to make to kind of like get my current role. If you are thinking of job switching, this might be it for you. To be honest, TLDR, I think it's all about the numbers game. And yeah, as you can see, I'm presently very dressed as of how I would be for the interview, with short pants. Usually I ask for a virtual interview because I was previously working and I didn't want to take up my work time if I'm going for the interview. I have no time to travel here and there. Anyway, just a tip for you, you can always ask for a virtual interview, and if they have a flexible like working arrangement kind of thing, which I was very into, they would usually say yes. If they say no and it's like a strictly work from the office location only, then it's up to you whether or not you're comfortable with that. But to me, myself, one who really prioritize like working from home benefits, is like a big no, a big red flag. Anyway, I applied for 50 jobs and now I'm gonna show you my click-through rate or like my conversion rate of my interviews and the click-through rate of my resume. So just a disclaimer, this is I applied the jobs back in before the actual recession actually really started. The economy, I'm not so sure how it was doing, but it was already presently getting bad, so do not use this video as a comparison video. That's my experience and my resume, and the companies that I've worked with before might be completely different from yours, and who knows, you might have a better rates. I'm just here to show you that, you know, to present to you my stats. So if you are looking to switch jobs or if you are looking to, you know, go somewhere else, I think this might be a gauge for you to reference with, and hopefully you feel better after watching this video. Alrighty, so I've applied for 50 jobs and I have like specially emailed like 13 HR. So one tip again, if you are applying for jobs on LinkedIn or wherever, if they actually put the HR contact, always try and reach out to them. Even if they're on LinkedIn and I really like the post, I will actually see who is the HR manager, and if they are not on a premium subscription, usually you can kind of like connect with them and just to ping them, say, hey, I'm interested in your role, can you tell me more? I feel like that gives you a higher or better chance of having that first interview. After applying for 50 jobs and having 13 email reach outs, for the 50 jobs application, I mainly used LinkedIn. After that, I actually had like 10 resume screen through and connections from there, people who actually look at my resume and are interested, so that it's like a 20% click-through rate. To me, this first step of screening is probably the most important, because I'll try and understand what is like the working culture like, what is their budget like, and they will also try and know what is my current pay, in which I always try not to give, and most of the time I don't give. What I give is the current offers that I have been considering for those that I have passed through the first round of interview, and I can kind of like Glassdoor and kind of tell them what is my expected rate. Once connected and telling each other what we want, our expectations and stuff, I went for 5 second round interview. And for this 5 second round interview, only 2 of them required me to do a bit of more like technical assessment kind of thing, or like just to prove how well we are in able to analyze things. After passing 3 second round of interview out of 5, I have only went for 2 final round of interview and I have only accepted 1 offer, and that is my current role that I'm doing now. Yay! So if you can see, it took me 50 job applications to go for my final interview, and yeah, it's basically just a numbers game in totality for those of you who are applying. It also depends on what kind of job you apply. If you are applying for a very high positions role, it might probably be harder for you to get an interview if you're applying for a much lower position role than your experience. You probably get a lot of interview. So this is purely just for my stats. I was limiting myself to either a senior analyst role or a manager role because my previous work was already a manager role. From the application time to the replies timing, there is actually a lot of lag time. The lag time also kind of depends from industry to industry or from HR to HR. I'm saying this because I have HR reaching out to me the next day, or HR reaching out to me 1 week after, or HR reaching out to me 2 to 3 weeks after I've received and signed my final contract, in which the whole process from the first to the third interview only took 1 week or around less than that. It's crazy. I feel like efficient HR always have an edge for the company who is So kudos to all of you talent acquisitions out there. If you look at my stats, from the first point of contact or connection, I'm of course removing those people who have said oh, you did not make it this round, try again next time, thanks. Only 10 interested people look at my resume and think it's not bad. So that is a 1 out of 5, and that is a 20% of people who are actually accepting my resume just based on my resume alone. So remember to make your resume beautiful. I only have a 1-pager resume. The first half is all of my personal details, education, hobbies, contact details, and then the second half is all my experience. I think if you have a Word document resume that is not very well decorated, it's also harder to capture the HR's attention. They are screening at so many resumes a day. So try and make it a little bit more pleasant for them, and I think your click-through rate should be higher, I hope. Also on my resume, I try to include a lot of stats and numbers if I can, and a lot of keywords that the online applications were writing. So for instance, right now I'm doing FP&A, financial planning and analysis. A lot of HR might not be educated on what we are actually doing. So saying things like identifying variance and causations, things like that might not make sense to them. So instead, what might make sense to them is basically month-of-month financial planning and analysis for the discrepancies. I'm just giving you an example. Just include the keyword financial analysis or financial modeling, that they kind of understand an industry knowledge term for them, such that when they Google, the keywords pop out. Try and use that pop-out, Google pop-out keywords on your resume when you're applying for that role. I think that really helps as well. Moving on from 10 resume to passing 5 first interview, I think that this is a very, very important process for you to not waste your own time and to not waste the HR time. Some HR are a little bit less well informed. So there was this HR that actually very, very nicely called me to tell me that, oh, I should stay in my current role because my current role is actually paying well. And they were actually hiring an FP&A lead, FYI. Not just a manager role, but a lead where, I don't know, it just sounds more fancier. But anyway, their budget was below the average of an FP&A manager role, and she was kind of a little bit talking down on me and saying that I should be happy where I am and stay. Ask me if I can consider, and I'm oh no, sorry, I don't want to I don't think it is for me, blah blah blah. So then she kind of got a bit defensive here and there. I would say these things happen, but don't let it get into your mind. To me, I'm a very logical person and I'm very numbers driven. I look at Glassdoor, I look at career, government, website, Singapore based, so don't tell me bullshit like, oh, that's like US rate, blah blah blah. As applicants, we do our own research and we know when we are being lowballed and when we are not. So that's how, like, from the 10 connections that I've made, I have also rejected some have also rejected me. A few things that I usually ask for the first round of interview is about the team, culture, progression, some sort of benefits relating to working from home or relating to other benefits, and also budget for the role. The second interview onwards is more about technical stuff, and this is where I would say if you don't have what it takes, don't write it in your resume, because for the second round of the interview, usually it will be with the team leader or someone who is more experienced, and they obviously have already the technicalities when it comes to this role. From there, I've actually had some like really grilling interviews, explain what kind of Excel codings that I've used or what kind of financial analysis or the more complex financial analysis that I have made. Also, that is also when you know what the party is actually doing and what your future role is doing. And usually at the second interview is where I will be asking what is like the day-to-day operations be like, and what is the first 90 days goals that I should be meeting, or the expectation of the team leader towards me as a new employee in the company in that role. A lot of work culture is also very important to me. I have come to realize that managers are really important, good managers. So yeah, just kind of like a vibe check and the entire company working culture check. There is also an interview where I rejected going for the final round, or more like the next round, so that company has like 4 stages or something, and I rejected going to the third round because they were saying like, oh, it's a senior analyst role, but you kind of like have to stay for 5 years, around like 5 years, and the managers are very nice, they will groom you. And I'm thinking like, do I really want to wait for 5 years just to have a nicer title and do more like fun stuff? The answer is no. So really know what you want and what are your limits, and also ask about the future. That is very important for the second interview. For the third interview, usually it's more casual. It's a bit of testing our vibe check. So in that interview, I will try to present myself in the state where I will be meeting them from day to day. Okay, you know what, actually when you pass the second interview, most likely you'll pass the third interview unless the third interview is also technical. Yeah, so usually I would wear specs because it kind of like makes me look more intelligent, and I'll tie my hair. Don't try to look very professional. Also, during interviews, I usually try and act more mature, or try and like explain myself to be a bit more mature, because the general feedback that I've gotten is that I sound really sweet, and that is not a very nice terminology to receive at workplace. I feel it's more like this whole psychology thing, okay, like having a deeper voice like makes you look more respectable. I have no idea, but anyway, I also try say something along the lines that, oh, I'm also not that young anymore, when they ask for my reason to leave or my reason to progress or my reasons to do this and that. I will always try and add in a factor to show that I'm a little bit more mature now, so they will consider me seriously for the role. Now that I think of it, a lot is like insecurity issues, but also this insecurity stems from the feedback that I've been getting from some panelists. So yeah, whatever, you do you, I do me, and that's what I did. All in all, I think it's all about the numbers game. Just mass apply, know what you want, know what are your limits, know what you prioritize, and yeah, that's about it. Good luck to you and good luck to all of us. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll try to answer them in the best of my capabilities. That's all for this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!